Volkswagen is going to outperform Tesla and NIO. That's right, I said it. Volkswagen, the old crusty vehicles your grandparents probably drive around, that company is probably going to do better in the electrical vehicle space than Tesla and NIO. Now, I know it's kind of ridiculous to say, but by the end of this article and episode, you might kind of understand why I'm saying this. Now, I'm not saying that this vehicle, the ID4, is going to outperform any of the Teslas in terms of performance, but you need to look at it from a consumer standpoint. So let's dive into the episode. This, if you're not familiar, this is an old article from September 23rd about the ID4 when Volkswagen initially announced this. Now, this is their SUV, electric SUV, good family vehicle, old person vehicle, really. And this was kind of like, I guess you'd say, not a flagship, but it's certainly an entry point for them in the electrical vehicle space. Now, if we dive a little deeper into what it actually is, it is kind of like a Ford Escape. If you don't know what that is, like a midsize SUV. You know, it's not huge. It's not a Chevy Suburban. It's not something you're gonna have 18 kids in the back, but it's certainly good for a family. You got 2 seats up front. Probably got the 3 in the middle. Got some compact space in the back, right? You guys can go on a picnic with it. Good little vehicle. So why do I think that this thing is going to beat a sexy beast like a Tesla? Well, for the simple reason that the average consumer that would be buying a vehicle like this doesn't need a Tesla that's going to go 0 to 60 in 1.8 seconds. They don't need ludicrous mode. They don't need a car that dances. Like, they need something like this. An official range of 250 miles, and on a fast charger can regain 80% of that in 30 minutes. Now, I know the Teslas obviously have a longer range and have a similar charging time, but when it comes to the price, which is about 40,000, 30,000, after you factor in tax write-offs, things like that, that's a very realistic vehicle for a family to get. The other reason why I think that they can do better than both Tesla and NIO in the EV space is that they have a brand behind them bigger than those two. Now, Tesla is definitely on the come up in terms of like the younger generation. We love Teslas. Like, they're a flex. Let's be honest. It's a flex to have a Tesla. You're not gonna flex in this Volkswagen, but NIO, no, that's more of the Asian markets, anyways. But with this specifically, like, it really hits on the older generation, and the older generations I feel like don't really care much for the whole Tesla look, the clout, I guess you'd say, of having a Tesla. Like, they don't care. They just need something that drives them around. If you look, I'm trying to find, they have some interior photos. Maybe not. It has that old Volkswagen interior feel. It has the wood grain finish. The screen on it is very big and very simple. Something an older person could really get behind, not like super, advanced. Like a Tesla, their screens are kind of overwhelming for someone who's not used to that. This, on the other hand, is a very simple vehicle. And for that reason, I think that the older generations, they're gonna flock to this type of vehicle. They're not gonna go to a Tesla that's, a Tesla, let's be honest, it's a sports car. They're sports cars. They do better off the line than any other sports car. And the other thing, since Volkswagen does have that name behind it, it gives more of a familiarity, and it's a more trusted brand, I feel like, even though obviously every car maker has its flaws. But with something like this, you're buying just the simplicity of it, the fact that it has that brand, and that they have so much more, I guess you'd say, industrial experience in terms of they have more manufacturing power. And the other thing about, I would say specifically Tesla versus Volkswagen right now, is that Tesla focuses a lot on the whole self-driving aspect. Volkswagen is not focusing on that. They're primarily focusing on electric vehicles, focusing on having their braking system recharge the battery and having a longer battery driving range. They're not concerned with the self-driving, and I think that is going to allow them to perform much better in terms of getting a longer range. Now, another thing to notice is that just today, their stock went up almost 7%. Right? this whole month's been kind of wacky, but specifically today, 7%. Why is that? Well, we go back to right here. Yeah. Tesla, or Volkswagen, I'm sorry, Volkswagen's board backs CEO's electric car focus. So Volkswagen shares rose 8% on Tuesday. Ooh, I was wrong. It wasn't 7%, it was 8%. After the car maker's top shareholders and union leaders publicly backed Chief Executive Herbert Diess's strategy to refocus the company on electric vehicles. So what does this mean? They're going away from their crappy turbo diesels. If you don't know anything about Volkswagen, you know their turbo diesels. They were cool vehicles back in the day, but a few years ago, if you recall, they were in some deep water for essentially making systems that would bypass emissions codes. They were not up to emissions standards, but when you plug them in to do like imagine like your performance check, it would override the system, and then it would go into the actual like emissions mode. Oh, look how clean and environmentally friendly this turbo diesel is. Like, no, it was never environmentally friendly. They got caught. The stock plummeted. The CEO bailed. They went through some turmoil, but nevertheless, they rebounded, and now they want to focus primarily on electric vehicles. So there's a new CEO, the whole new board. They also went through an entirely new board recently. They're really focused on the future, which is electric vehicles. And being the fact that they're a German automaker, the Germans make very good equipment. I think that you're going to see Volkswagen really outperform, really do well in the markets. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm just a guy pretty much shooting the shit with you. And that's it. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, come back for more. If not, then you go screw yourself.